Hi everyone. In this video, I'd like to talk about this movie, Crimson Peak, which I watched yesterday. An outstanding movie, by the way. Brilliant performances by Mia Wasikowska, Tom Hiddleston, Jessica Chastain, and Bern Gorman, amongst others. But this movie was literally full of Illuminati symbolism, just like all of the other movies. So, right, this mansion basically represents a living hell, just like the mansion in Resident Evil does. See how these stairs represent the stairway to heaven because they lead to the outside world. And see how Mia Wasikowska's character, Edith Cushing, represents just like the woman of the Bible with her blonde hair, and she's wearing white for heaven because she has to go up the stairs to get into heaven. So, even her character is called Edith Cushing, just like Peter Cushing, the actor. So, let's scroll down here. Right, the mansion is literally called Allerdale Hall, and this represents going through the gates. This represents going through the gates of hell, or the gates to hell. And then, right, you see the dead rising. Right here, see? And it represents just like this, right here. It represents just like the zombies in Resident Evil and The Walking Dead. And there's a whole thing about butterflies in this movie. Remember, there was a thing about butterflies in Alice Through the Looking Glass as well? And both films happen to have Mia Wasikowska in. See, this character's wearing white for heaven, but this character's wearing black and red for the darkness and Satan. This character played by Jessica Chastain, she's called Lucille, as in Lucifer. And she represents the woman of wickedness. And she's always like, Mother, Mother. She's always talking about her dead mother. And that is why she represents just like Valen in Star Wars The Old Republic, Knights of the Fallen Empire. Because they both represent the woman of wickedness. Just like your Corella DeVille type character. Because Valen is always like, Mother, Mother as well. She always mentions her mother. Okay, there is a difference because Valen's mother, Senya, is not dead, whereas Lucille's mother is dead, but that's beside the point anyway. So anyway, right? Clean bandits play violins. Violins have a V. Yeah, violins have a V in their name for the Fifth Age, and an I in their name for Illuminati, and an O in their name for the will of the Great Tribulation. So anyway, violins, violets, just like Violet Beauregard. Now, I'll admit this doesn't make total sense because if Violet Beauregard represents the woman of the Bible, then why is she represented in the film as being like a spoilt child? I mean, she has all of the necessary things to be the woman of the Bible, like her blonde hair, and she's wearing blue for Jesus Christ, and white for heaven. But notice there's purple for Cadbury's in the background. Now, this Willy Wonka character, I'm not sure what colour this jacket is that he's wearing, but it seems to be either red, purple, or pink. And as we know, purple is the colour of Cadbury's. And this is no surprise because Cadbury's is chocolate, and this is the film Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Remember, Johnny Depp plays the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. But Willy Wonka is another character that wears a hat. I hate to say this, guys, but Willy Wonka could represent Satan. He could represent this clown right here. Because this jacket that the clown's wearing could represent this jacket that Willy Wonka's wearing. Then Charlie could represent Jesus Christ. And then this guy right here could represent the elite with his suit and tie. And then, I suppose, like, Veruca Salt could represent the woman of wickedness. Then this guy could represent the Punisher. Because he's wearing a skull on his shirt, representing idolatry. And he's got a black shirt representing the darkness. Now, right, see all of this green in the background could represent Islam. And then, so all of this film is all about not taking temptation. Just like in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve weren't supposed to eat the forbidden apple, but they still did. Charlie doesn't give in to temptation, whereas all of the other kids do. I mean, in the original film of Gene Wilder, I mean, there was that whole scene about like that burping scene about the lemonade and all of that business, but that's like really the only time that he gives into temptation, really. And anyway, Wonka has a W for World War III in it. See this old man right here? He could represent just like Gabriel in the Americans. And Gabriel could represent the angel Gabriel, because he's like the angel looking after Philip and Elizabeth, like looking over them. And then you see this teapot right here. It represents just like the teapots in Alice in Wonderland. And then this guy right here could represent just like when Philip Jennings in the Americans is dressed up as Clark Westerfeld. See how the hair and the glasses are similar. And it could even represent just like this serial killer in The Lovely Bones as well. I can't remember the exact details of this film. I can't remember whether he's actually a paedophile or not, this guy. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll come back to that maybe. But I mean, like, even when Philip has to, like, do a mission with this, it's about infiltrating this woman's house. And, I think what the mission is he's got to find, like, information out about her father or something of that nature. And, like, even, like, how close he gets to her, it seems a bit pedophilic sometimes. I mean, I know that's not entirely his fault, because it's part of the mission and everything, but, you know. I mean, like, this goes back to the whole sides thing again. Like, this side represents Iron Man, and this side represents Captain America. She represents the woman of the Bible because she's got blonde hair. So, right, you see the blue for Jesus Christ, the red for Satan, and the green for Islam, and the purple for Cadbury's. So Willy Wonka has a staff, and it could represent just like Loki's staff in the Avengers, because Loki and Willy Wonka could represent the same person, this clown. So, right, this chocolate river type thing could represent just like Prince's song Purple Rain, because loads of people have made alternate versions of Purple Rain that go chocolate rain. And these mushrooms right here could represent like mushroom clouds when nukes go off. They could even like represent like magic mushroom drugs as well. See, right again. The red for Satan and the blue for Jesus Christ. Remember, this bridge right here could represent the bridge between heaven and earth. See the yellow right there? That could represent just like the yellow brick road in Wizards of Oz. This tree could represent just like the tree in the Garden of Eden that the forbidden apple was on. So anyway, you get the point with that. So, when Philip and Gabriel play Scrabble, it represents just like Charles and Magneto playing chess in X-Men. And it also represents just like Lindsay and Silas playing chess in Hollyoaks. So, basically, right, this golden ticket in Willy Wonka represents just like the golden age. Thomas Sharp in Crimson Peak represents just like Uncle Charlie in Stoker, and just like Tony Stark. Because see how he's like the wealthy person with the cool car, just like Tony Stark is. And they all represent this clown right here. And then, in Resident Evil Revelations 2, you see the red door for Satan with the chains that is supposed to bind Satan in a bottomless pit. Just like the chains around the Freemason Royal Arch pillar. And then, here's the blue door that we have to go through with Jesus Christ to get into heaven. And then, even in Stoker, there was this whole thing about candles. And they represent just like the Twin Towers setting on fire. So, I mean, basically, right? You see the candles in Hollyoaks as well. And remember the candles in this Quicksilver ad for Sky. So they all represent the Twin Towers being set on fire. And, like, remember, right, that there was this whole thing about the clay machine in Crimson Peak. And basically, that represents blending the iron with the clay, blending the light with the dark, blending the good with the bad. Because the clay is red for Satan. I know that doesn't make much sense because the iron is supposed to be the bad part and the clay is supposed to be the good part. But that's why it represents blending the iron and the clay together. So, see the red for Satan again? And then even these represent the beacons that the Queen lit on her 90th birthday, and the beacons of Olympus, and the beacons in Lord of the Rings.